Hello and welcome to another night shift. My name is Yazil, and today we want to bring these buttons and sliders, or at least part of the sliders, onto live. For that I show you I got these buttons all face and body. So when I click on face, the camera changed to the face view, and also it changes the right window here. We can see if we go on body, it changes to the body, and this is feet size. And if we go back to all, it goes to highs. This has no function in the moment, but I already got one slider working, which is the skin color. You can see the skin color. This is a nice one. The skin color is to live, and we change the skin color from the Yuma player character. Also, I added a function to switch to male, and well, for that we need a couple things. The first thing is, if we really want to go into our script Yuma builder and going for every option we have there and build an add overlay and so on and so on and so on. I don't think so that's the right way to do it, so I made everything into scriptable objects. And if you go here on the scriptable object race list, I got a race list with different kinds of it. We got a list for skin colors, a list for eye colors, a list for hair colors, a list for the upper color, which is for shirts and stuff like that, and for lower color for trousers and stuff we want to change there. Also, I have a list on the slots from the Yuma, and so we're gonna work on these lists at first, and let's see and go for it. Let's go for a human male, so the player slot list. So we go on our helper directory, and you see a couple of new scripts here. We work in the first place on the player slots and the slot list. So we open that. So we have in the player slot, we go for an system Yazil namespace we need, and we also serializable these class, and we call that class player slots. And we build the player slots out of an int, out of the Yuma slot, and out of a string, which is the slot name, and out of a string with the overlay name in it. So we want to have a list out of these elements. So we go for the player list, and we go for system collection generic as namespace and Unity engine, and we make it public class player slot list scriptable object. So we don't go on mono behavior, so we go on scriptable object, and therefore it has to be in serialized field, and it's a public list of player slots, and we call it list, and it's a new list of player slots. So now we got a function which does this produce a list, but now we have to have a function so we can produce one actually. So if you go here and go for Yazil create, you see this function here, and we're gonna produce that. It's quite easy. You go into, or you make a new C# script, which I called Yazil tools, and it is necessary that you have these Yazil tools in or in your structure under a directory editor. It has to be a file or a folder named editor, else it won't be recognized as such. We're using the Unity engine and going for public class Yazil tools, and it's an editor window, and therefore let's see, we wanted to have the slot list, so we go here, we got a menu item, which is here, the menu item, Yazil create player slot list. That's the name you get if you click on that. Next, you want a public static player slot list, and the function is create player slot list. And then you go for the player slot list is an asset, and it's equal to ScriptableObject create instance player list. So it depends on the player list we got here. Then the next is you make an asset. It's asset database create asset, and it's an asset, and it's stored at asset new player slot list as a name with .asset as a type. After that you go and asset database save the asset and return the asset. That's just the static stuff you have to do if you want to create an asset out of a scriptable object. And if we go now to, and save that for of course, and go to Yazil create and go to a player slot list, we will find a new player slot list down here. You can rename that of course and move to the right folder where you like it. I have it just here on the female and male player list. So if we say, or we click at the new player list and we say like we have 5 list items, then you get here the elements with out of the ID and the UMA slot and the slot and the overlay. For that to work, we have to go in our let me find in our yconst, and we have the OMA slot here as a reference, and we have to change that to an enum. Here is equal to 1, here add is equal to 2, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, that's the part on that. Let's look at our human male for what I use. As you can see, there are elements, and it says it's legs, and it is the underwear, and it's an overlay name, and the inner mouse slot and the inner mouse. Oh, that's nice. I'll have to change that later on. Gives a little error there. And we got eyes, and have the male eyes and the male overlay and stuff like that. So you can variable add stuff to your starting UMA without having to program everything in the build UMA or the UMA builder. And basically the next we do for the player color and for the race and race list. So go back to this, and we're going for the player color, which is in public int ID. I just used it here, and a public color with the name color. And on the list, player color list, we do the same again, and going for a serialized field. It all depends on ScriptableObject, and we go on a public list player color. I call it list, and it's built of a new list of player color. And the same we do on race and race list. So we're going for race. The race is serializable and the public class race, and we get an int and the name of the race, and we want this different kind of color lists with the skin, eye, hair, upper and lower, and also the slot list. And in the race list it's the same again. We're going for a class race list, depends on scriptable objects. We got a serialized field, and we have a public list of race in with the name list, and it's built on new list of the kind of race. So when we did that, we have to go for these and add the rest of our menu points. So we have this create race list, and we have here again the standard procedure to make an asset, save the asset, and return the asset. So, and that's also for the player color list. If you want me to do an extra on these editor stuff under tips, tricks and tools, please leave a message. I will see what I can do there. Yeah, that's for the extra stuff here. And also we need in our yconst a dictionary. We can do it in different style, enum or whatever. I choose to make a dictionary out of it. So it's a race to name to number, and it's built out of a string and an int, and I called it race dic, and it's a new dictionary of string and int, and I have in the moment two entries in it. It's human male, which gives back 0, and the human male, which gives 1. If we go on our race list for a sec, go here, you see it's the ID 0 and 1, so we have an easy reference into these list here. Good. Let me switch through all C# scripts so you can verify that. So we got the player slots, which defines the slots themselves. Then we got the player slot list, where we build the list of the player slots. Then we have the player color, which got an ID and the color itself. And we got the player color list, which generates the list out of the player color. And we got the race, so where we define everything and it comes out together. We got different color lists, and we got the slot list and the name. Also we got the race list generator, so we can generate a scriptable object. Then we got the Yazil tool, which is for defining the menu items, so we can call out of our editor window the functions to create assets, and we save the assets in the assets folder under new race list. If you want it on a special location, you just add the path here. It's the same, just look on the that here is the class defined, and here the class also, and that you return the asset on the end. Well, 3 times for every our list. And if we go here and see create color list, we got a new color list. hopefully there it is. And if we go for race list, it says new race list. Good. Now the big changes. The big changes is our UMA builder script, and that's yeah, well, real stuff going on there. Just open that and let me close everything down so we can go section for section. So you see that's the old style. If we just compare it in front of, that's the old style of making an UMA. And if you say here, see here, that's for everything, and it's a lot of easier, a little bit more complicated, but I explain that. First of all, we need a couple more variables. We need, first of all, this slider. We don't need that one any longer, but we need to have this slider. And we got one of these race lists we created, so it's in reference to the ScriptableObject. And we need 3 things. One is called race, one is gender, and one is just an add of these both. It's my race gender. And let me see if we got something new here. We have, but it's no longer needed. Let me clean that up so we don't need that any longer. And we need these not any longer, so we just delete that. So first of all, we need buttons to set the race and the gender. So we go here and we see here something new, and that's the dictionary reference, and we look if the variable we inputted in these is in the key of the dictionary. So to explain it a little, we go on, let me think about it for a sec. You go here on the scenes and go into builder scene. Didn't I hit that? Okay, I hit that. And go into canvas and go onto the race selector, and we go here on the button male. We see here we used a function on the player. We go for, where's the player? Here's the player. We go on the function of the player, which is here, and we use the function UMA builder set gender, and we go for gender male, and on the button human we got the same. We go on set race human. So if you go in and set go in for the function set race, we look if the UMA is still there. If it's not there, we if it's there, sorry, we kill the UMA, and after we kill the UMA, we kill the dynamic avatar. So in our player should no longer be the dynamic avatar and the UMA data. Then we go and say our race is equal to underscore race, so the variable we put in through the button, and the same is for the set gender, except we check if the gender is male or female, because we don't have anything else. So if you mistype anything, the error will be grabbed. We also look if the UMA data is there. If it's there, then destroy it. UMA dynamic avatar, if it's there, destroy it. And we go in for gender is equal to the gender string we got inside here. And there I see something. We have to add that there. Also, and then we start a coroutine generate UMA. So why a coroutine? It was before just a normal void function. I changed it to an enumerator because if you destroy these stuff here, the machine needs a couple cycles to destroy everything, and if you just start generate the UMA, it says, oh, it's still there, and the UMA will not be generated. So we open the generate UMA, and we see here it's a yield return wait for seconds, so I would just wait in half seconds for the UMA is generated. And then we go for the normal stuff you know here already. And I first plan to use my race gender here extras as a private field, so we don't need that any longer. So we just delete that, and we go in our string, and we don't need that here. So and after that we generate an UMA the NM controller, and we update the arrays as we did before. So that's not very complicated at all, but here in the make male, or in the moment it should just be make, because we don't have a difference between male and female any longer. So we first of all, we have the old part we already know. We have the var UMA receive, and we got a new UMA receive, and then we set the race. And in the race we looking for the female, the human female or human male character. Since we got in our list a reference to that, we can go and see if it's on our, yeah, well, it's a little bit complicated, but I told you before. So we got the race library, and in the race library we get the get race, and that's the normal function. And we're looking for in my race list, which you remember is a race list. This list, which is here in our my race list on the UMA builder. And we look into the list on the list itself, which we will remember is race list these here, the list. And there we go and see for the number of our dictionary item. So we just have the input on my race gender, which is in the first place or in whatever place and combined out of the gender and the race. And we look in our dictionary, let's see that it's yconst, here's our dictionary, and we're looking for example, human male, and we get a 0 back. And if we get the 0 back, we see that's the 0 item, or the 0 entry. This from here to here will be 0. If we input on this place human male, then we want on the position the name which is there. So let's go back to the race list. So we look on the item 0 and we look for the name here. So in our generate race there will be the string human male, and that's what we are after. So if you get confused a little, it's no problem. Just read that again and look while you are typing which options you get. And after that we have to build the UMA with the slots we have in our slot lists, and that is for int e is equal to 0 and equal is smaller than the list count. So we go on my race list again in the list and going for the 0 or 1 or 2 or whatever is in our dictionary, and going to the slot list and looking at the list. Let's go here again, player slot list, it's the list here, and we count how great the list is. So and after that we go in and add a 1 to the I. And after that we check if my race list again we look for the right entry, slot list I, so we got 1, 2 or whatever, and we go in for the slot, and if the slot is not empty, so if there's something in, we build the slot in our UMA. So we use the function add slot add. We already know we need an int, we need the string of the slot name, and we need the slot library. And so the int is easy to get. It's on our UMA slot, which is, let me see, slot list. We have to have this one and this one, and here in our UMA slot we read out this in the stuff, and while we look for that we go into the y constant, we get back a number. So we get back the 1, for example. And so we are there. So we got this part is the number in our list, and on the next part we need the name, which is basically the same out of the slot list list on the position 0 or 1 or 2 or whatever, and we need the slot itself, which has the string of it. So if you go here, it's just these string, and if you remember, this string was if you go to UMA and going for content, UMA, whatever, PBR, slots, female, get just one of these. You see that's this name you have to insert there. Okay, and the next part is just easy. It's the slot library we know already, and after that you have to build the slot overlay. So the overlay is built out of the same we just look into the overlay. It's not empty. If it's empty, if it's not empty, you go for overlay add. You know that function already. You can add a color or just a overlay itself. And I went for just the color itself, just the overlay itself, and it's here, overlay, which represents these field. So we check basically first the slot, and after the slot we check if in slot is a name inside. If there is, build the slot. If not, just move to the overlay. And if you have an overlay, then add the overlay. If not, just do nothing. Good. Okay, that was one of the worst parts. And the UMA should be generated now. Get tender. Okay, that's that. We have to have in start. In start, we going and generate the first my erased gender, and we init the sliders, which I come in a second, and we start the coroutine generate UMA. So we start first building one. Okay, init slider. Init slider is really easy because we have a reference, so we don't need to do anything. We tell the init skin color slider the whole numbers, that it has whole numbers. If you go for skin color, you see here is the whole numbers. If you don't do that, it has commas, and we have the whole numbers as a must. And the value we start off is 0, and the min value is 0 also, and the max value is basically how long your color list is. So if we have in one of these lists, let's see, human eyes, now skin, in a moment we got 4, so it's 4 here what we can get back, but 4 we can't use because we start with 0, we need to -1 there. So that's easy. All numbers to true, the value is 0 and the min value is 0, and that is just how many you got in your skin color list. And okay, we got that on awake. We got that already. I hope you did. And after that we just need the update function. So in the update function we going for our skin number and see if the skin if the skin color value is not equal to the skin color number. So if we don't change the number, it does just nothing here. And if it's different, we just set the skin color number to our slider skin color value, so we know for the next run that we didn't change anything. And next we have to fly through our list again, which we know down here from the make part. So we go for the int. It's from 0, and e is lesser than again the list of our slot, and after that we update e by 1. So next is we have to see if we have any data in our slot, and we have to see if it's the slot we want to change. So we go in our list, change it to an int, go into our list, look for the right number in the list, going to the slot list, going on list number where we are in the moment, and see if the UMA slot is the same as the head. Since we want to change the skin, we want to look into the head. So if we wouldn't do that alone, it only would or it would change every slot where which is defined as a head slot. So next we have to make sure that this item or this slot is on the right slot list. And I said just for the slot skin we got a slot list 0, and I use the ID for that. So let's go back to the over here, and I use this ID so we can see we got int 0 0, and we go here, it's just 6 or whatever it is. So after we verified that the slot group or the ID is 0, we go in and change the overlay, the color, and for that we change the overlays color from our UMA slot head. Just jump there, UMA slot head, so 4, and if we go here, it's 3, it says 3. And then we go on my race list again and looking for the right again, and if we do that, we go onto our list again, and this time here we go for the slot or for the overlay name, and here we go for our color in that list. So this part overlay will be this part, and this part color will be on our human skill. It will be this color. So, and basically this we have to do for every slot we want to change in. Since we want to change the skin color, we have to do it for the hands, the feet, the legs, and the torso. And if we're done with that, let it open a sec. And always you look for the right group 0. And after we're through with that, we tell the UMA that its texture is dirty, and then after that we use the function UMA_data.dirty, and so everything which is set to dirty will be changed and new calculated. So I know it's not easy. I will scroll through the whole stuff. Oh, since we changed something, let's verify that it's still working. So, where it is? There. So here we got our male, and the skin color is still changing. Male is changing. Good. Let me scroll slowly through that. So we got our public vars, We don't need that any longer. It was test from MySpace. And close that. And we go for the private vars. Number of slots, the color number is 0 at first, and that's it for the private vars. Then we go for the awake function. We get our slot, our overlay, our generator, arrays library, and the UMA context. Then we go to our start function. It tells our myArrays generator is part out of the race and the gender. Then we init our sliders. In the moment just one, but maybe it will be more. I'm sure it will. Then we start the coroutine of generate our UMA. In our update function, we're looking for the skin color. The slider skin color dot value is equals to the skin color number. Then we check these here for everything we have in our change the skin. Of course, if we change the hair, it will be much shorter, but that's it. And here we just check if it's the right group. Then here we go if it's our text, or we set our texture as dirty and let it new calculate. So the next is the init slider. We go for our slider skin color, dot roll number is true, and the starting value is 0, and the minimum value is 0 also, and the maximum value is the list, or the length of the list, -1. And here we got our button functions. We set the race, and we check if the race is inside here. And there we build our race, my race gender new, and here we start the coroutine. There will be an error, I just realized that. So at first we gonna delete that. I will be change that in the next and give you a hint on that. So we destroy our UMA and destroy the UMA dynamic avatar, set the race to race, underscore race to race, and build a new my race gender, and after that we start a coroutine generate UMA. So we have the same on set gender. We just check if it's male or female. If it is, then start the same process, except you don't add the gender here, you add the race, not the race, you add the gender here, and also build a new my race gender and start the coroutine generate UMA. In the enumerator generate UMA, you just yield for a half second and go through everything like you have before, and you start here with on make, and since we only use one function here, we can do that here direct also, but I find it nicer to have it in a function. Here we generate the receipt and set the race. We're looking in our lists for the right name, and then we go through our slot lists, and at first we add the slots if the slot is not empty, and then we add the overlays if the overlay is not empty. That's it for that part. Compared to this, the next part is real easy. It's the cam button. it's just a function to switch the position of the camera, and for that we have a camera and game object, and we just find these names we have, and after that we set everything to the right position. We set true to the all button and false to the other. If you do that before, or if you do it in an editor, we can't find these names here because they are inactive. So we just have to find them and reference them, and then set them to inactive or active. The update we don't need. And then we have 3 buttons, of course: the button all, the button face, the button lower. And you always set the cam transform.position to the new vector here, and change the active of the right window. And here also new position button face, and button lower new position, and change the active for the right window. So if we go here, we look like here are the names we found, and that's the right window. We have to set active and deactivate them, depends on what we need. On here we got the buttons. It's here button full. As we go for the canvas, I added the cam button C# script to my canvas, and so you have to go here for canvas, and then go here for cam buttons, and this is the button all. And that you have to do for the face. In canvas, the cam button, and set the button face, and in the body you have in the function cam buttons the button lower. So that's quite easy. It was long, but I hope you understand everything. If not, just ask in the description, no, in the comments. I will try to help you through. And so long, happy night shift.